Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of Full Metal Alchemy. So just like always, I'm going to start with some quick self-PR to talk about the coffee where I'm posting some articles, and I'm streaming on Twitch as well. Recently, I've been streaming Genshin. I'm done with the Fontaine main story, and I've just started in the Nata main story. Like I'm streaming on Mondays, Tuesdays, and then Thursdays and Saturdays, Sundays. It really depends, but most of the time I'm trying to do at least one episode of the new show every Mondays. And in the long run, I'm going to try and stream the recording so that way I'll always be streaming on Mondays at the very least. But yeah, so I've already did an introduction article, so if you're interested, please check it out and remember to like and subscribe as it helps me out with the algorithm to push my videos. So I'm sure you've heard about this. Bloomberg, they published a report a few days ago explaining how Bandai Namco is in a huge pickle right now. And one of the things they're doing really messed up, according to a report from Bloomberg, is that they're pushing some employees towards leaving the company by themselves, because this is something I already talked about many weeks ago. With all the layoffs in the gaming industry, a lot of people have been saying that there's no layoffs in Japan, but that's not really true. It's true that in Japan there's better laws for workers' protection, but at the same time there's other means to push people out, and the companies have been using these other means, and one of these means is what they called oidebashi hair, oidashi bear. So this means like the room where you put people to kick them out. That's what it means literally in Japanese. So what they're doing is some employees, instead of giving them work, they just put them in some rooms all alone, and like without anything to do. So that way the employees start thinking that they're not needed, and like it crushes you mentally and it forces people out. One thing Bloomberg didn't mention that, but is one thing in concordance with this practice. One thing some companies do is that they transfer you. They transfer you to somewhere where it takes you like 2 hours, 3 hours of commute. So this way you get exhausted and you wanna quit. So you end up quitting by yourself. Um, for now, Bandai Namco has denied these allegations, and they say they're not doing Oida Shibuya, but like this wouldn't be surprising if this actually happens, and I trust Bloomberg in this regard. And one of the main reasons why Bandai Namco is in a difficult situation lately is that a lot of their games didn't perform as much as they hoped. For example, the last SAO games, the last Sword Art Online game, it didn't sell much. And but that's one of the things that's happening is how in Japan and in the rest of the world, like the market has changed considerably. So even when you've got some really popular anime series like SAO, they don't necessarily sell well when it comes to game adaptations, because a lot of people are playing on mobile. See, this last since over 15 years now, a lot of people are playing gacha games and are playing mobile games, and like the market has changed a lot. So even like Dragon Ball Sparking Zero has already sold 3 million copies, but like this is like an exception. And nowadays console games, they don't sell as much, especially in Japan. If you look at physical sales, like the Famitsu numbers every week regarding physical sales, you can see that like a lot of people buy console games that much these days. And personally, I think one of the reasons why Bandai Namco is in trouble right now is Blue Protocol, and the MMORPG, the anime MMORPG that Bandai Namco was doing, and they only launched it in Japan, and it didn't work out, and they announced a few weeks ago that the game is going to close down, and they didn't even release the English version yet. So ever since the end of service announcement happens, I'm planning to write a very long article about the game to explain, like, in my opinion, why did the game fail and what did they do wrong. And I'm trying to finish this article like maybe by the end of the week or maybe in 2 weeks. I'm not sure when I'll be able to finish it yet, but it will be on the coffee, and I'm not sure yet if I will paywall it or not. So I'm working on this, and also they announced that they canceled several games, like they canceled a Naruto game and like some popular anime games that have been canceled, and they also canceled Nintendo related assignments. That Nintendo, they did some kind of like a subservice, like they asked them to develop a certain game. They didn't say which game it was, but like it fell out, and they canceled it. And so I already talked about this like several weeks ago. Bandai Namco back in August, they announced they're working on a brand new Super Robot Wars game, and that wasn't particularly surprising because like obviously the series is continuing. I'd already talked about this in our past video, but like the latest game in the series, Super Robot Wars 30, it was a really big success thanks to its international Steam release, and they sold that like in one of the live streams, the producers have said that Super Robot Wars 30 is one of the top 5 best-selling Super Robot Wars games of all time since the 30 years of the series' existence. So obviously they're continuing the series, and they finally officially confirmed that they're working on a new game, but they didn't say yet if it's going to be a classic game or an OG game or anything. So hopefully this new Super Robot Wars games didn't get cancelled or anything. Personally, I don't think that's the case, but I gotta admit I'm a little bit worried. But like I don't think, like I really doubt they're going to cancel this. So I'm not worried that much. But yeah, Bandai Namco, one of the main reasons, in my opinion, why they lost so much money is because of the protocol. So I'm trying to write some article about this to explain the situation in detail. And but yeah, like this Oidebashi hair thing, like this is really messed up. And this really shows like even if they don't do directly layoffs in Japan, like there's many ways to push out employees, and that's one of the many messed up things that can happen. And another example, this is also something I already brought up like several months ago in an previous episode of my Otaku News show, is how Gumi, who's developing Brave Exvius, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, like they're doing voluntarily resign, like they're pushing out their employees because they can't lay they off directly, so they're pushing employees out by doing some like beneficial retirement package, and like basically they're firing people, but they're not firing them directly. And one reason why Gumi is doing this is because they lost a lot of money after Tataricus. And this is also another game I would like to cover one day if I've got the time, because this is another very obvious case of like what went wrong, and like they lost a ton of money because of that, and this is why like they ended up doing this kind of stuff. And speaking of Bandai Namco pushing out its employees and indirectly doing layoffs, Ubisoft's French company Ubisoft, they've been trying to do the same thing basically. So what happened is like back in September, Ubisoft, they told all of their staff worldwide that they need to come back to work on site. Since the pandemic started like 4 years ago, most Ubisoft workers, developers, they were working from home and they were working remotely. Suddenly, a few days ago, the leading the head of the directors of Ubisoft, they told the employees that they will all need to come back on site at all time, and the the one big French union for game developers. I've already talked about them before. They published an article about this and a call for strike back a few days ago. So they announced, like, management just announced its decision to impose a return to offices for 3 days per week for all employees. This announcement was made without any tangible justification or any consultation with the workers' representatives. And so yeah, so basically the negotiations with the union fell out, so management decided to force people to come back to work. So the union called for a strike, and the strike did happen in France like last week. And from what I've seen, like over one quarter Ubisoft employees were on strike in France. So this considerably affected the company. From the union has announced now that thanks to this action, it looks like the management, the Ubisoft top and the Ubisoft executives, they're finally willing to talk. And finally is very important here because for years now the Ubisoft employees and the French unions have been saying that Ubisoft management, they've been avoiding talks and they've been avoiding directly negotiating with the employees and with the union. And like thanks to this strike, like it looks like things are finally going to change and they finally be able to to make some things change. But yeah, the aim with this call, like the aim to trying to bring back people to work on site was because like these last few years, like with the remote change to remote, a lot of people they moved out of Paris or they moved out from the cities where the Ubisoft headquarters are. So this way, even if they not near the headquarters, they could work remotely anyway. But with the coding back on site, like they're pushing people out. Like these people, they will have to choose between their job or their new lives. So they're pushing them out indirectly. So that's why I'm talking about this, because this is just like what Bandai Namco is trying to do. And a lot of people, like, they just like the union explained here, like after more than 5 years of working efficiently in the current remote work context, many of our colleagues have built or rebuilt their lives, like family life, housing, parenthood, etc., and simply cannot return to the previous working conditions. Our employer knows this perfectly well. The consequence of this decision will be the loss of our colleagues' jobs. So that's it. It's just like it's exactly like Bandai Namco. They don't want to directly lay off people, so they're trying to fire them indirectly. So yeah, so thanks to the strike last week, it looks like things will finally change. The union will finally be able to directly negotiate with Ubisoft management, who is seemingly willing to talk for now. So we'll see how it goes. And another important detail, is the the employees at Ubisoft Italy, in Milan, like for one day they were striking as well in solidarity. So she's really cool and really nice. And like I'm not sure about the other countries because Ubisoft is initially a French company, but nowadays it's a multinational with some headquarters like all over the world. But like at the very least in Italy, the workers there they striked as well. But I'm not sure about the other countries. But anyway, this is really nice, and I'm hoping the situation will change and like hopefully Ubisoft management, like the Guillemot family and the top of Ubisoft, are going to try and listen. And yeah, so another thing in relation to Ubisoft is personally, I don't like the company, but I don't like it for reasons different that most people hate the company nowadays. And that's why, like, I think most people they hate Ubisoft nowadays for the wrong reasons. And of course, you've got a lot of bigots and a lot of racists, like they don't like the new Assassin's Creed game. Personally, I couldn't care less about the series, but like I still want to defend Ubisoft, and because even if the management is trash, there's still some good people working there. And like for many years, like I never liked the company. But like I think a lot of people they're too harsh on the company and they hate it for the wrong reasons. So that's important to mention as well. So nowadays I really want Ubisoft to come back and to succeed, just to show, first off, just to show all the racists that even if you make a game with a black main character, it's still going to sell and it's still going to be good. And then like I think a lot of people like they unjustly hate Ubisoft, while personally I hate it for the right reasons. And I'm gonna try to detail this in an article at some point. But yeah. So yeah, the unions did a tweet about the strike. I forgot to mention this. I forgot to show the actual source of on this actual tweet. So yeah, so the numbers are in. We counted over 1,000 colleagues who would join the strike at Ubisoft, over 1 in 4 of the French workforce this week. So yeah, that's just like I was saying, it's 1 quarter. So they say this is a historic movement in the French video games industry and even globally. So yeah, I'm really happy about all this, and hopefully things will change for the better. So another very serious piece of news is that on October 21st, Sega has announced that they're suing Bank of Innovation, which is a company who is making like a small, relatively popular gacha game called Memento Mori. And Memento Mori even has an English version, so you may have heard about it. And Dr. Sekan Todo has made a pretty good thread about the situation on Twitter, so I'm just going to read the thread and share my own opinions on the matter. So yeah, so following Nintendo last month, Sega now also sues a Japanese studio for patent infringement. Today, Monday Japanese time, it came to light Sega demands nearly $7 million in damages from mobile game maker Bank of Innovation. The third party is rather small. So Sega says that Bank of Innovation hit mobile game Memento Mori violates a total of 5 of their Japanese patents. So in the in this article here you have the 5 patents here, and Dr. Sekantoto has said basically the the parents they describe one of the parents described a specific system for fusing character cards, and he explained that the amount of money Sega is seeking will definitely completely destroy Bank of Innovation, and like if it was like completely destroy the company. So yeah, Sega's lawsuits following Nintendo legal action against Palworld owners Pocket Pair might also signal a new trend in big Japanese studios looking for damages from smaller ones that surprisingly launch hit games. So yeah, first off, this is another good reminder that companies like they're all bad. Like you shouldn't trust companies, or you shouldn't simp for companies, and you shouldn't defend companies. So like, be it Japanese companies or all companies in general, like they're all trash. So first off, there's this, and then secondly, just how personally, I think this is even more messed up because a lot of gacha games, I think a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of gacha games they all reuse the same gameplay loops and the same gameplay systems and the same like type of gameplays and stuff. And for example, like I'm too lazy to illustrate all this, but for example, like there's a gacha game that really is like I think over 10 years ago now. It's called Flower Night Girl. And Flower Night Girl, it's one of the very first gacha games. It was back when it was still browser-only games. So it's a browser game. And the battle system in this game is it's fully automatic. And you just click at the right moment when you want to use your ultimate basically, but it's all automatic. And this gameplay, this battle system, you just choose your squad and your formation, and basically this battle system it was reused in many games, and Flower Night Girl wasn't the first game doing it I think, but it was one of the first ones. And this kind of battle system it got reused in Robot Girl Z, which I was playing myself for a few weeks, like nearly 10 years ago, the Robot Girl Z gacha game. And another very big example is Princess Connect, Priconne. Princess Connect, it also uses the exact same battle system, like it's fully automatic and you just decide when to use your ultimate. Blue Archive, Bluaka by Nexon, Korean company Nexon, it's also using pretty much the same battle system. It's fully automatic and you just decide when to use your ultimate. And so there's many gacha games that they're all using the same systems and they're all copying each other. So if this kind of patent lawsuits like they become like a thing, this is very worrying for the future of the industry in general, and for creativity in video games, and for like innovation, and for like newer studios, and like this very worrying situation. And like another good example is like when it comes to gacha games with turn-based RPG battles, like if you look at for example the new so for example if you look at Madoka Magica Maja etc, the new like gacha Mado Magi game that's coming out like by the end of this year. It's a turn-based RPG with gacha elements, and like it's turn-based, and like the UI, like it looks like every single turn-based RPG gacha game. They all look like this. Obviously the UI is different, but like the layout, the way the screen is, the way the battle screen is presented, the way the screenplay is done, it's very similar. They all look the same. And like if you look at Heaven Burns Red, which is one of my favorite games, and I've been playing it like nearly daily. Like this is me when I was streaming Heaven Burns Red like 1 month ago. This is my Japanese channel. So yeah, like if you look at the Heaven Burns Red UI, obviously is different, but it's pretty much the same thing. Like you could, if you show this to someone who don't know anything, they could think it's the same game with just different characters and with just different monsters, because it looks exactly the same. Like every single gacha game with RPG turn-based battle, they all look like this. So if we're starting to get in a situation where some companies are starting to sue other people and smaller developers because their game looks similar, or they're using a similar system, like this is very, very bad. Like things could end very, very badly. So this is why I'm talking about this, because this is a very worrying situation. And like Memento Mori, I heard about it a lot of times, but I never played it myself. And one of the originalities of this game is Memento Mori. All characters, they have a seiyuu and they have a singer as well, and all characters, they have their own theme song, and the theme song is sung by a different person than the seiyuu. So this is interesting because a lot of seiyuu nowadays, they're singers as well, because the idol seiyuu industry, etc., something I've been talking about a lot, but they decided to pick some specific singers for each character. So this is a pretty interesting game, but like it's an idol game, so if you don't like idol, like there's no real gameplay, you just collect the cards and stuff. So yeah. So anyway, so I really wanted to talk about this because in my opinion, like this is a very, very bad situation. And like Dr. Sekantoto said as well, like this also set a very bad precedent where some bigger companies, they start like sharking on some smaller game developers who make some money to try and get money from them. And like this is really, really messed up in my opinion. So I'm very worried about the situation. So just like every Monday, Koei Tecmo has revealed a brand new character. One of the 6 characters is going to be in Venice Vacation Prism, Dead or Alive Extreme. And this week they revealed Tamaki is in the game. And to be honest, I'm pretty disappointed because Tamaki is one of the Venice Vacation OG girls I dislike the most. And she's very, very popular. So I'm gonna get some hate by saying this. Like, I'm not that surprised that she's in the game because she's like I think she's the most popular. Like if you look at the past character popularity polls, fan polls, I think she always got like near the top 3 or something, Tamaki. And yeah, but personally I really don't like her, and I think like she's very, very stereotypical. But let's just check out the trailer first.
オーナーくん意外と積極的なんだ。そういうの嫌いじゃないわ。じゃあ二人っきりで楽しみましょう。へえ、オーナーくん
So yeah,
意外と積極的なんだ。
personally speaking, like Tamaki, she's like among the OG girls specifically made for Venice Vacation. She's one of the girls, like she's probably the one I like the least because in my opinion she's extremely stereotypical, like extremely stereotypical, nothing original. Like she has a very predictable behavior and personality with how she's always flirting with the player, but also she's always kind of flirting with the other girls. And she's got like the bisexual vibes, and like she like typically like super fashionable, super outgoing, super like proactive girl. And like I feel like, to be honest, like I feel like this is not too harsh of me to say, but like even 20 years ago I was already watching anime because I've been watching anime ever since I was a kid, since as far as I can remember. Like 20 years ago, you would have asked me to make a sexy onesan type original character, I could have already made Tamaki 20 years ago. So personally, I'm really not a fan. But yeah, she's like the most popular. She's one of the most popular OG girls, and she's also among all the Venus Vacation original girl. She's the one who made it to Dead or Alive 6, and to be honest, I'm still kinda mad about this. And I clearly remember when they were teasing that the Venus Vacation character was coming to Dead or Alive 6. I was hoping like maybe it would be someone like Kana, because technically Kana, since she's an Oni, she can actually fight and stuff. But they put in Tamaki, and I remember I was really pissed off because I even predicted that Tamaki will be using Aikido, because Aikido you gotta touch people and you gotta show people, right? So obviously Tamaki, with her personality and how she's touchy with people, like not at a predatory level, but like, do you know, like this kind of typical like proactive stereotypical girl. So like, because she's touchy with people, so Aikido would fit. And guess what? She actually used Aikido in the Dual F6. So I was pretty pissed about all this. Like, extremely stereotypical, extremely predictable character. So like always, let's do my lazy comparison. So I booted up the gacha game to show you how Tamaki looks like in the gacha game in comparison. And you can see like her face looks very different. Like the like, I don't know how to say this, but like I think like her cheekbones and like overall her face structure is looks extremely different. So yeah, and when you look at Twitter, so there's a announcement on Twitter from Japanese fans. I've seen mostly hype, because yeah, Tamaki is one of the most popular characters, so a lot of people are extremely happy. But yeah, as always, I've seen a little bit of people like complaining about the 3D models and saying that she looks too different. But yeah, personally, I don't really care about Tamaki, so I don't really care either way. But yeah, and also I guess one thing I was surprised about is because they added Sayuri in the game. I thought that they wouldn't add Tamaki, because I was thinking maybe since Elise, not Sayuri, it's Elise, because Elise is already in the game, like there's already a mature One-san type of character, so I thought maybe they won't put Tamaki in the game, but they did put Tamaki in the game anyway, because she's one of the most popular girls, so yeah. So there's only 2 spots left, so I'm guessing like hopefully at least one girl like will make it. But because for now, like, the only girl I kinda like is Fiona, and like I explained, the only reason I like Fiona is because she kinda looks like Fina and Ria in the East series by Falcom. So yeah, for now, obviously I'm still going to buy the game, inshallah, but like I'm really not excited that Tamaki is in. So yeah, very mixed feelings. So a very quick news I wanted to talk about. So today, DMM and Nitroplus, they announced a brand new Touken Ranbu character, and it's called Unsho. And he's very funny because his design got made a very big impression on Japanese Twitter and Japanese social media. And like all day, like today, October 21st, Itchy Belt was trending on Twitter because of the belt emphasizing his pecs. So this is a really funny, really cool design, and like Itchy Belt was trending on Twitter. It was very funny, and everyone was talking about it. And it's quite impressive because if you look at the announcement rate, like it got nearly 100,000 retweets. So this shows how Touken Ranbu is still a really big, really popular series, because the the original series is going to be over 10 years old now. The series is going to celebrate its 10th anniversary soon. And speaking of that, one of the things they started to announce for the 10th anniversary is they're planning to do some 3D live concerts, and with some of the characters with brand new looks and more modern idol-like looks. And this is like a series of 3D concerts they're planning to do. And Yeah, it's very funny. Touken Ranbu, I wanna try to get into it someday because some of my Purecool friends who are fans, some of my Japanese online friends who are fans of Purecool, they also like Touken Ranbu, so I really wanna try to get into the series one day. And because it's also a Nitroplus series, so as a Nitroplus fan, I wanna try and get into it one day. And there's also the Touken Ranbu Muso game I wanna try one day as well. And Mikazuki Minechika is like one of the poster guys of Touken Ranbu, right? And he's voiced by Toriumi Kousuke, who voiced Yuri in Tales of Vesperia, who voiced Kiba in Naruto, who voiced tons of characters. And nowadays, this is one of his most popular roles. So, as a fan of Toriumi, I gotta try get into Touken Ranbu one day as well. So there's a Muso game that released like 2 years ago, and like they're planning to do these concerts now. So yeah, Touken Ranbu is pretty impressive. Like a few months ago, they also announced brand new musicals as well. So even if the series is like nearly 10 years old now, it's still ongoing, and there's still a very big fan base when you look at the retweets and when you look at all the engagements. So yeah, Ecchi belt was trending all day today because of his belt and phasing his specs. It's very cool, very funny design. So I just wanted to quickly talk about this. So another very short news is how Square Enix and Horii Yuji they actually made a statement regarding some mistranslations that was shared regarding Dragon Quest III. So if you didn't know, Dragon Quest III is a remake. Basically, long story short, they slightly changed the design of the female warrior and they censored it a little bit compared to some of the other versions of the game. Some compared to the original version. If you look at other previous versions of the game, the costume was already censored because it's a bikini armor, and so sadly they had to censor it. And one interesting thing is how, like, sadly, it's pretty often that you see bigots and racists like they're trying to co-opt Japanese culture and Japanese otaku culture and this kind of stuff, and they try to co-opt these kind of discussions and this kind of like culture and regarding to try and say, hey, look, the SSGs, the woke, trying to destroy Japanese culture, all this kind of trash discussions and all these kind of trash discourses. But like, it's not often that you actually see the Japanese artists and authors actually communicating and actually denying this trash and this kind of drivel. So I'm really happy this happened. So sadly, yeah, it's pretty common for racism, for bigots to like try and co-opt these issues, but it's very rare, in my opinion, to see the developers, the Japanese developers actually communicate and respond to them. So the show where Horii Yuji was on, they published a statement. So the ADH statement gives specific examples of mistranslations, such as Puritan being translated as sex education, and alleges that parts of the comments made by the speakers have been deliberately cut out of context and coded as if the speaker was expressing a negative opinion against a certain ideology or belief, and have been spread in a way that is far removed from the true meaning of the comments and the original contents and message of the video in question. So this is very nice, and I'm also happy. I got a also notes. I'm happy Automaton made an article about it because yeah, sadly, not only it's not often that Japanese developers actually communicate and blow out like stupid idiots and bigots that are trying to co-opt otaku culture like this. Not only this is very good, but also sadly it's not often that Japanese sites will make news about this. So I'm really happy a Japanese site actually made a news about this to talk about it. So, this is a pretty big problem, and this is one of the reasons why I'm talking about HE stuff and like what I'm talking about all these soft games, etc. Because I can't stand that this kind of culture and like this kind of R18 games, R-rated games, like they're kind of co-opted by the bigots and by the sexists and by the idiots who say like feminism is destroying Japanese culture and otaku culture and all this kind of trash theories and all this kind of trash stuff propagated by grifters who try to get some views by propagating this kind of dumb stuff. So I'm really happy a site is actually talking about it. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly mention this. So the last thing I want to talk about today is Romancing Saga, because the remake of Romancing Saga 2 is getting out in a few days now. Square Enix, they published a final press release detailing the post game in the remake. And first they confirmed some more of the cast and some more of the seiyuu, and most notably they confirmed that I forgot how she's called, the Madoshi, I forgot how she's called, Neaib. Technically, you don't even learn her name until much later in the game, but she's the mysterious woman who gives inheritance magic to Leon. So she's voiced by Fairouz I, and Fairouz I is one of my favorite newer seiyuu, and she's been voicing since around 6 or 5 years ago when she was voicing Hibiki in Danberu Nankiro Motteru desu ka? So to be honest, because I always say like I don't watch a lot of airing anime since 2016. Like I've been watching airing anime and seasonal anime for over 20 years, and then starting 2016 I kind of stopped. I'm obviously still watching anime, but unless I'm watching it with my family, I'm not watching airing anime, seasonal anime anymore, and I'm only watching older anime that I never watched. But yeah, so because of that, I'm not that familiar with her roles, but Fairouz I is still one of my favorite newer seiyuu. And yeah, so she's voicing the Yogensha, like the Yogensha, like the magician who teaches the inheritance magic to Leon. So yeah, so they explain the post game dungeon of the game. So they confirm more of the stuff, more of the casts. They confirm the seiyuu for pretty much all the characters in the game now. So I'm really looking forward to the remake. So yeah, so they explain that once you beat the final boss in the remake, you can get into a new post-game dungeon, and in this post-game dungeon you can fight some shadow versions of the seven heroes. They're in their original human forms, and they're much more stronger than in the main story. And they explain in the press release that if you manage to beat the seven heroes in their human original forms, like you will be able to get their equipment, which will allow you to learn some unique skills, their own unique skills. So for example, like your character, you will be able to use the Kijinsi's life steal. So this is really cool and really cool system. So you'll be able to restore your LP by using Kijinsi's life steal. You'll be able to use Rockbuke's temptation, etc. So all of their unique skills from the seven heroes, if you manage to beat them, you'll be able to learn their unique skills. So they explain all this, and they also explained how the Dread Queen is going to be in the game. So Dread Queen is a really cool and interesting character because she's a new character that was added in the remaster. So Dread Queen, like, she was unlocked like before the final boss, like basically when you played as the final emperor in the remaster, if you did the quest correctly, you could try and challenge Dread Queen. And she's a really cool character because they actually added some story with her. And there's a line where she says that basically even the seven heroes feared her. Like apparently, like maybe this is one of the things they will detail and develop in the remake, but apparently like even the seven heroes couldn't defeat her or something. So she's really cool. And basically she was like the hardest boss in the remaster. She was even harder than the final boss. And Square Enix has explained in the press release that if you manage to beat Dread Queen, you'll be able to unlock two new difficulty levels in New Game Plus. So there's going to be very hard, which is scaled for New Game Plus runs, and there's going to be a new difficulty that's called romancing, and this is a really funny name. They call the difficulty level romancing, and this new difficulty level, according to the press release and the tweet, it's so difficult that if you don't do a perfect new game plus save, like if you don't, like if you unless your new game plus save is perfect, meaning you need to build your emperor really well, you need to learn all the skills, you need to learn all the mikiri. I always forget what's the English name for mikiri, but like the dodging skill, like the thing that allows you to dodge skill, that's 100%. Like unless you really build your save really well, you won't be able to beat this romancing difficulty because it's extremely difficult. And like they showed some gameplay of it on Twitter, and like even at the beginning, like see, it's called romancing, a really really funny name. It's the ultimate difficulty for the ultimate gamers, and like they showed some gameplay, and like Leon and Gerardo and Leon, they get one shot by the random mobs right from the beginning of the game. So you need to build your new game plus save really really well to be able to challenge romancing. So yeah, so they completely redid the game balance, and they added, just as expected, they added some new postgame and they added some new difficulty levels. So yeah, it's really cool. And several weeks ago, there's been several interviews. I didn't get the time to read them and talk about them yet, but in one of the interviews, they most probably mentioned that compared to the original game, the battle rank will not go up if you run away. So as long as you fight, the battle rank will go up, but if you run away, the battle rank won't go up. So this makes the game a little bit easier, but it's not like it's going to be very easier because they completely rebalance everything. So yeah, it's extremely promising. So for now, what I want to do is I want to watch the stage plays, the musicals of Romantic Saga, to learn the new storylines that they will probably add in the remake as well. And then I wanna write an article summarizing the TGS 2024 event with Nakamura Yuichi, because he was talking about his memories of the original Super Famicom game. So I wanna make an article translating this, and then like maybe replay the remaster in New Game Plus and then play the remake. But yeah, I still need to finish Zelda Tiakin, Chiotike. I still need to finish some other games, so I'm not sure when I will get to the remake. But yeah, I'm definitely going to buy a physical version on Switch, inshallah, so that way when I'm done with the game, I'll be able to give it to my nieces. So yeah, so that's all for this episode. Thanks for watching and see you later. Bye. Like, I'm really, really looking forward to Romancing Saga 2 Remake, so I'm probably going to try to talk about it again in some video or something. So yeah, remember to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye.